Hey YouTube, welcome to Respect Your Intellect. I'm John, and in this video we'll be talking about critical thinking. So what is critical thinking? Well, the term's been defined many times, but they all say the same thing. Essentially, it's a rational, skeptical, unbiased analysis or evaluation of factual evidence. Critical thinking is self-directed, self-disciplined, self-monitored, and self-corrective thinking. It's a way of problem-solving while overcoming our native human egocentrism. The term was first coined by Socrates during his lifetime in the 400s BC. He invented Socratic questioning, and it's considered his most important contribution to Western thought. Since Socrates, critical thinking has evolved into a much more specific and well-defined form. Without going into too much detail here though, just know that rationality and logic are still widely accepted as the main components of critical thinking today. Socrates was also the first to suggest that authorities don't necessarily have the best answers. Before him, anyone in power could simply make a statement as biased as they wanted, and that was all the proof that was needed for that statement to gain ground. Critical thinking is about asking questions about the true nature of reality beyond the way things may appear at a glance. One such example, which I'll go much more in depth at a later video, is when flat earthers don't believe the earth is spherical, because if so, planes should be able to go up, stay in one spot, just let the earth rotate below them, and then get to their destination. What they don't realize is that the atmosphere rotates with the earth, and they make their full claims based on how something appears to them at a quick glance. Being able to use critical thinking to look deeper into the problem would help decrease the number of incredibly weak theories that we have out there today. So this is what critical thinking looks like. When someone says something to you, you should be analyzing by going through these steps. We only accept things that are green. Here's a quick example of my own thinking process given a statement that doesn't seem to add up originally. Let's start with the following statement. Diets are no good because you gain the weight back afterwards. So now that we heard a statement, we step right into reasoning. Reasoning is just thinking about something in a logical way. For me, the reasoning of the statement doesn't make sense by itself because it sounds too much like magic. It's stated that things just reappear out of nowhere. So with our reasoning giving us a red flag, we'll evaluate and form our own idea about the topic. If I'm evaluating this, I think about what constitutes fat, and it all boils down to calories. Gaining weight is like a balance sheet where the calorie intake outweighs the calorie used as energy. So it's already starting to show that the original statement can't really be entirely correct. So now it's time to start solving the problem. Unless there's a physical problem with someone, gaining weight is usually the result of life choices, eating habits in particular. With that said, it's easy to imagine that a diet could be a temporary choice, and that people would generally tend to go back to their eating habits that they find comfortable, which resulted in them gaining weight in the first place. So now that we went through all of this, which is usually a very fast process, it's now time to make a decision. So do we accept the statement as it was? Well, we already had red flags, so we can't really do that unless some other proof is offered that will make more sense than what we just came up with. For now, I'll just make the decision that the original statement is false, and that controlling your food intake with diets will yield results. So now we analyze where we're at and see if we made progress since the beginning. For now, we can state that we believe that diets do in fact work, and that if someone goes back to their previous eating habits afterwards, they would simply gain the weight back over time in exactly the same way they did before. It doesn't mean that the diet itself didn't work. If we still had unanswered questions at this point, we could simply continue going through the steps again. The cycle itself is usually very fast. So that was an example of how I would personally use critical thinking to question something that doesn't seem to add up. And this happens all the time, every single day. So when you start using critical thinking, you'll definitely find that you'll be practicing very often by being more skeptical and less naive. So why is critical thinking important? Well, human thinking left to itself will often gravitate toward prejudice, overgeneralization, common fallacies, self-deception, rigidity, and narrowness. By using critical thinking everywhere we can train our intellect to minimize errors, blunders, or distortions, effectively leading to accepting ideas and making decisions only if things make sense. Most of our important achievements and breakthroughs as a race can be attributed to this 2,400-year-old idea of critical thinking. The main example is science. Without science, we would still have more in common with cavemen than who we are today. And all of the actions of critical thinking form the basis of the scientific method. It's through this that we can gain good evidence, draw conclusions, and constantly be improving. So, why should we change the way we think? Well, right now we have a big problem rising as a society. There's a Forbes article, which I'll link in the description, that shows the results of a survey about what people believe the shape of the Earth is. For millennials aged 18 to 24, it's now down to only 2/3 believing that the Earth is round. This is an increasing trend that has to be stopped. When it comes to the younger generation, there is an abnormally high level of trust in total strangers on the internet. It seems very easy for them to take online opinions as fact and not question it at all. So, how can we benefit from becoming more critical thinkers? Well, there's many ways in which critical thinking can improve aspects of your life. First, it can improve your relationships. Whether it's disagreements with your family, friends, co-workers, boss, significant other, being able to apply critical thinking to these situations will often allow you to stay much more level-headed. It'll help limit how far a confrontation will be allowed to escalate. It'll help you be more persuasive, and your side of the conversation has a much better chance of being heard when you stay calm. Also, undesirable outcomes are inevitable and will happen. Applying critical thinking will allow you to analyze the situation more objectively and result in better decision making, even if, for example, your decision is to no longer allow that person in your life. Finally, it's in our nature to apply things to ourselves even if it wasn't the intention. So critical thinking will help you realize that a statement might not be about you and help you avoid a problem altogether. Second, it will redefine the way that you see things. As you start analyzing more of the things around you, you should find yourself more in control of your emotions and your actions. One example of this is the approach towards someone you find attractive. Instead of using that person's response to define your own level of attractiveness, you'll start seeing it more as what it is, that you can't be everyone's type, and that you win some and you lose some. Not affecting you in the long term. Third, you'll be less prejudiced or biased. So this will make your company more enjoyable to others. You'll find that you're more fair and just toward others that might be different to you. Fourth, it'll make you more interesting. Since you'll be questioning everything, you'll find yourself assimilating a lot of knowledge that you weren't before. These things tend to make their way in conversations and make you a highly interesting person to talk to and be around. Fifth, you'll naturally have more empathy and you'll be more relatable for others. Since your analysis and decision making will no longer be biased, you'll find that you'll be able to see things much more easily from the point of view of others. This will give you a much clearer understanding of what others are going through. Everyone likes being understood, so being empathetic is a good skill to have in life. Becoming more of a critical thinker can help in many aspects of your life, beyond these 5 points. Most importantly, you won't be naive enough to get caught in weird conspiracy theories, because as soon as you'll start questioning those, you'll debunk them right away. So this brings me to why I want to make this channel. If you haven't noticed, this is actually my first video on this channel. What I want to accomplish here is to bring out our massive and often disrespected human intellect and fight back against this increasing amount of stupidity that is being thrown online. There are many people that need to subscribe to a conspiracy that they'll literally throw out hundreds of years of scientific proof and use the weakest of arguments while doing so. Without having more people spreading science, knowledge, rationality, and logic, the amount of stupidities online can only grow. So I'll do my part by bringing you videos, and I would appreciate if you helped out by liking the videos, commenting, and subscribing so that we can reach as many people as possible. As far as what kind of videos you can expect, we'll be exploring many topics. Some of it will be debunking conspiracy theories, using verifiable facts. Some of it will be fun facts about how things work. Some of it will be about impressive things in science broken down into an easy to understand format, and probably there's going to be a lot more. Essentially, I want this channel to be a place where your intellect can flourish, and hopefully you'll pass some of this knowledge on to others. So anyway, that's it for this one. If you liked the video, consider subscribing and leaving a like to help this video reach more people. And if you have any suggestions about what you would like to talk about, put it down in the comments below, or come follow me on Twitter or Facebook. Links are in the description. Until next time, thanks for watching, and remember, respect your intellect.